Some new details emerging about the deadly terror attack in Benghazi on September 11th. The first-person account that is contradicting the original White House version of events. We'll get a live report.
In other news, a Fox News alert, a new Benghazi bombshell. The former head of U.S. forces in Africa saying it was clear almost immediately that the attack on the U.S. consulate was a terrorist strike and not some street protest that got out of hand. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge has more for us on that. Hi, Catherine.
Well, thank you, Patty. And the former head of Africa Command says he was at the Pentagon for a routine meeting of service chiefs on 9/11 when they got an alert from forces in Stuttgart, Germany, that the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, was under attack, and there was no sign of a demonstration being involved. General Carter Ham addressed the question at the Aspen Security Forum.
Did you think it was a terrorist attack?
I don't know that that was my first reaction. But pretty quickly as we started to gain understanding within the hours after the initiation of the attack, yes, and I don't think anybody thought at the command. I don't think anyone thought differently.
General Ham says he immediately alerted then Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs that the Benghazi operation was under attack and that the ambassador Chris Stevens was also missing. Ham says he believes U.S. forces were either facing a hostage situation in Benghazi, which soon became a recovery operation by the evening. And like Panetta and others, the retired commander insists it would have taken at least 6 hours to reach this site in eastern Libya with the closest available assets, a claim that is disputed by the administration's critics. Nearly a year after the murder of Ambassador Chris Stevens, Foreign Service Officer Sean Smith, and Navy SEALs Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty, the retired general says no one has been charged or prosecuted for the terrorist attack, and it's a reflection of Libya's weak government.
It's a very, very complex issue. And I think it is more that the dealing between the government of the United States and this emerging but yet fragile government of Libya that has impeded any significant progress on bringing to justice those who killed our friends.
This week, as part of a renewed push for a select committee on Benghazi, the group Special Operations Speaks will be delivering to Congress a petition signed by 1,000 special operators calling once again for an independent investigation into the Benghazi terrorist attack. Patty Ann.
Catherine Herridge, live in Washington. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, for more on the impact of the general's assessment of the Benghazi terror attack, let's bring in Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. President Obama famously promised that the people who killed our ambassador and the 3 others would be brought to justice. So where does that stand, Byron?
Well, it hadn't happened yet. We think there are 5 people who were the ringleaders in this. We believe one of them was actually in the custody of this Libyan government, and they let him go in March, saying they didn't have enough evidence. So we're pretty frustrated about this. This has been really a bad situation from the get-go. Remember, it was months, weeks and weeks and months after this September 11th attack before FBI investigators got to the crime scene. And it just sat there, and any evidence that might have been there was gone. And now you just heard General Ham refer to the Libyan government as fragile. I think maybe a mess would be a better description. There's really nobody for us to deal with in the way that we might deal with a country that has a stable government if we were looking for criminal suspects.
Well, President Obama, offered American air support in dislodging the Libyan government. One would think that there would be some better relations with the government.
Well, it's just really not much of a government, and if you listen to what Ambassador Stevens was saying before the attack, I mean, he was very, very worried about the security situation, that there was no government really to take care of. So that's still a problem, and there is some pressure inside the United States in the Congress among Republicans to go over and do it ourselves. If we know who these people are, let's go grab them, because there's really no Libyan government on the side of the government that is over there. I mean, I think they're very worried about being seen to be cooperating with the United States and doing the United States bidding and going after these attackers of this American embassy.
The FBI reportedly is keeping these 5 suspects, under electronic surveillance. What's to prevent us from going in and grabbing them?
Well, I don't think anything practically is. There may be political considerations. The Obama administration doesn't want to be seen doing that. But, you know, there are precedents for this. There was a shooting outside the CIA headquarters in Virginia, just outside Washington, back in the 90s. 2 people were killed, 3 were wounded. The killer got away. Ended up in Pakistan. Took us several years, but you know, one night he went to bed in his hotel room in Pakistan. The next thing he knew, he was on a plane for the United States, where he was tried and convicted and executed. So the United States has the ability to do this, and I think if this goes on for quite a while, you will hear at least Republicans in Congress saying, you know, we ought to do something on our own.
Well, and Ronald Reagan famously went after Muammar Gaddafi with, you know, an airstrike back when he was believed to have been involved in some things that the U.S. didn't much like.
Well, this is a little more complicated than that, because this Libyan government, we actually paved the way for them to be in power such as they are right now. We actually made that happen by getting rid of Gaddafi. And, you know, there was a lot of talk at the time saying, you know, who are we helping here? Who are the rebels in Libya? Will they be able to form a government? Are there terrorist factions inside this rebel forces? And none of those questions have turned out particularly well. And this government is, I think, at best what General Ham called fragile.
We will see whether those 5 suspects that the FBI has identified, whether anything happens to them. We'll keep an eye on it. Byron York, thanks.
Thank you, John.